Hi, I'm Sung Ray.
I'm something else.
Here at Black Girl Soul, a podcast where we discuss the Asian dramas we love from a black female perspective. We are looking to be entertained, to learn about other cultures, and share our passion for these shows. Welcome.
All right, welcome to another episode of Black Girl Soul. We're doing Black Guys on Squid Game today, and we have several participants with us today. We have Yella, who's going to speak to us and introduce himself shortly. We have Cedric. We have Drake from Everything Culture Podcast. And we have Moses. So if you all will go ahead and take your time and just tell us who you are. We'll start with you, Yella.
All right, what's going on? Yella, St. Louis, Missouri rep. Just kind of here, enjoying the time. Thanks for having me.
I am Moses. I am a casual watcher of K-dramas, and I found that this one was pretty interesting, had a bunch of different societal commentaries, and so I'm eager to talk about it.
Drake, or Mr. D713 with Everything Culture. My podcast is all about cultures, backgrounds, traditions, social norms, beliefs, and this right here with Squid Games is it's a culture phenomenon right now. So I'm glad to be here.
I'm Cedric, and I'm glad to be here, be a part of it, and hope that we do great here.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right on in. First question I have now, we've spoken, if you all have seen us before or listened to us before, we've spoken to both Yella and Moses in a past podcast called Black Guys on Asian Dramas. And so today what we're going to do is we're just going to toss around some questions and kind of field them to certain people to kind of help us move along. What I would like to ask from Drake and Cedric is, have you ever watched a K-drama before or any other Asian drama or movie?
Well, yes, I have watched it before. And I started out with my sister.
Yeah, Sung Ray.
So Ray. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. She got me hooked. She got me hooked on it, seriously. You know, and, I was just checking out Squid and everything, and it's like real life to me, you know. Once you look at it and you really think about the games that people play, you know.
But just in terms of general K-dramas or other Asian dramas, have you ever seen any other ones besides this one? Because we know you watch this one.
This is the first time I really sat down and paid attention to it.
Okay.
I'm really not a TV person. I fall asleep.
As far as a K-drama, I don't like dramas, period. I would say that first and foremost. But I love the action and the mystery of this one right here. I'm a big horror fan, so you can consider horror a little bit of drama, but I like something it may or may not happen, but this is probably the closest thing I can come to a full Korean drama or any drama that I would watch again.
Okay. Did you want to add something, Moses?
Yeah, like I don't really watch K-dramas either, but I don't know if I would necessarily put this under the category of a drama, the same way Drake was saying. I think that when it comes to Korean television, there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a tendency for people to say, "Oh, this is a K-drama," but I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a drama. You know, it's like if someone saw the show Lost or something like that, or if they saw another show on television that's popular that's American, they'd be like, "Oh, that's an American drama." It's not really a drama. You know, it's something completely different.
Okay. Yella, did you want to add anything?
Okay.
No,
I think they pretty much summed it up, yeah.
All right, how did you guys hear about Squid Game?
Man, it was all over the place. Everyone was talking about it. So I heard about it through word of mouth. A lot of friends of mine that watched it, a few colleagues, some coworkers. And, you know, they keep asking everybody, have you started it yet? Have you started it yet? Have you seen it yet? And so I kind of broke down one day. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to watch it. And, man, I think I did it in, I went through 9 episodes in one day.
Oh, wow.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Same here. And like I, kept seeing Facebook posts about it. And of course, because you and my sister, we both you both watch Korean dramas. My sister kept saying, "Hey, like you should watch it. You should watch it. You should watch it, especially before people start giving, spoiling things about it." And so that's kind of the thing that hastened it along for me as well.
As far as myself, I was going to watch it. It popped up on, Netflix has the new releases and things. So I was like, I saw it. I'm like, okay, it looked nice. I started watching it. I'm like, oh, this is in Korean. Okay, Korean. I'm like, nah, I ain't about to watch it. I'm too busy to watch it right now. Okay, I'm going to come back to it. And my uncle and my aunt came down to visit. And, they're part of the old, they're in their 60s, and they sat down and they watch. He doesn't even like movies like that. He doesn't watch shows like that, anything. His attention span is like that, especially with these type of films or, on shows. But they watch the whole thing. I would walk down and they're in the middle of it, glued to the television. And I'm like, okay, I sure have to check it out now. And they loved it. So I sat down, I started it. The first one was a little slow, but I came back to it, rewinded it, and boom, I got hooked. I knocked it out within 3 to 4 days.
Well, me myself, I'm an over-the-road truck driver, and I was in my truck. And I was just looking for some action movie to watch. And it was like, wow. So I started watching. It was like, man, this thing is like full of action. So it was like ongoing. And I was like, okay, that's great. So I got checking it out and everything. And so my sister ended up coming by my place and she was like, you check this out? I was like, I started it, but I didn't get a chance to really watch it because I had to keep moving and everything. And she goes, let's watch it now. I was like, okay, cool. And man, you're talking about some action-packed. That's an action-packed movie. Or you call it drama. But I'm on the same thing more than on. I wouldn't consider it as a drama for real, but it's great.
I would call it a thriller.
In the Korean drama realm, everything that is produced in this format where they have episodes is a drama. There are a variety of dramas, but they're dramas. So you've got rom-coms, you've got thrillers, you've got action, you've got all kind of stuff, but this is considered a Korean drama because it's a drama made in Korea, so it falls under the Korean drama umbrella.
But see, I don't think that helps the marketing, though, because like, say, for example, if you told people, and even if it was like a good story, hey, you should watch this K-drama, like you would probably knock out like a whole swath of like people who might normally watch something, but then they're like, oh, I'm not really into watching a drama. Now, if you said, hey, this is a K-thriller, like that could be a whole new subset of like storytelling, and you would have people who come into it and they're like, oh, you know what? I will watch a K-thriller.
But think about it. It's really the same thing because a thriller is technically a drama. It's in a subset of drama because drama is the suspense of something. So it's the same thing, but I feel you understand both sides, but it's a drama. Just like horror, you have different types of horror. This is a different type of drama.
All right. So what I wanted to know is what made it now? You heard about it. What made you all just decide to go ahead and I'm going to push the play button and watch this thing? Because just hearing about it is one thing because I'm going to help you. I heard about it. I had no intention of watching it whatsoever. And I didn't till something else kept insisting. No, you got to watch. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'm nosy. Let me go see what everybody hyping it up about. Because it was all over the place by that point. Had been on number one on Netflix in the United States for like, I think 2 weeks. And I was like, fine, I'll push play.
Well, the action part is what got my attention.
So the trailer helped you to push play?
No, the action part of when I first seen it.
So you pushed play though in order to see that it was action. So what made you push play? What enticed you to go ahead and?
Because it was something new on Netflix.
Okay.
The hype.
That's really what it was. It was something that was new there, and I was like, let me check this out, see what's up with it, and I know that my sister, she watches a lot of that, and just to have a conversation with her about it, just something to interest her, So I decided I'm gonna check that out, and I did, and enjoyed it. Been watching it for 2 days, you guys. I watched it.
What about you, Yella? What made you push play?
Honestly, didn't even know it was a K drama at first. No idea. Was just pulled in by people saying it's really good. You got to see it. And when I saw it, when I hit play and saw the first episode, I was like, oh. But I watched a dub version, so I didn't get the subtitles. I didn't get the actual Korean dialect. Like I heard English words all the way through. And so that was it. Like that, I didn't even know. I just wanted to see it.
Well, while we're here, what now? Did you all, gentlemen, Drake, Moses, Cedric, did you all watch it subbed or did you watch it with English dubbing?
English dubbing.
English dubbing.
Oh, give me that dub. I
Okay.
tried. You know, once again, I'll watch a foreign movie subbed in a heartbeat. That's not a problem. But I got things to do these days. Like if you want me to remember, I started watching it and it was subbed, and
Okay.
I can't focus on it right now. I wasn't in tune with it, so I said, let me dub this thing. And I was able to get some things done, listen, look, okay, rewind if I needed to. But I can go back and watch it sub. But my first time watching it throughout was absolutely dubbed. And I'm proud of it.
Because honestly, I think that the thing that got people to watch it was the hype surrounding it. But the thing that like kept a large swath of the audience like actually watching it was the fact that it was dubbed. Because, you know, like any other television show, you want to be able to like look at it 80% of the time, but then 20% of the time, you know, do stuff on your phone, walk into the kitchen, things like that. And so I think that the dubbing was actually a good portion of its success.
And I'm gonna have to agree. That's kind of one of the things I wondered myself was, did people really get into this and was it so hyped because of the dubbing? Because, you know, I'm tried and true. I did my subs and I didn't even know dubbing existed until I heard some controversy about the dubbing not having authentic, true what was being said. So I'm like, oh, they got dubs? I didn't know. So, you know, and then when I came to your house, I went on and played it with the dubs because I'm like, you know, I know you don't want to read, so.
Dang, really?
I already fall asleep on
I know.
You know, because I'm one of the people. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big TV person. You
Right.
know, I could start watching something and I've been fell off in about 20, 30 minutes of it. You know, so I got to keep hitting that rewind button to see if I can catch up. You know what I mean? So.
Something else? Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I'm just glad that I'm back on the call. My goodness. So, but no, I mean, I think you and I both talked about how like dubbing really pulled in a lot more people because subtitles are not like insurmountable, but they are an acquired taste. So, you know, I just appreciate that you all enjoyed the show and that we can all talk about it.
So then my next question is a subset to this is, if you could see other K-dramas that are dubbed, would you watch them?
Yes, I think I would.
It depends. Well, what's the, you know, what's the plot behind it? You know, I'm picky. Like, genre. What? Oh my goodness, I don't know if this could be considered a K-drama or was it Korean, but I love zombie movies. So I love like foreign horror movies. They are like Train to Busan. That is beautiful. I watched that sub and dub. I don't think they even have it dubbed actually. I watched the sub. So, but yeah, I love foreign movies. It's just this one. I was probably gonna watch it either way. But I never knew it was gonna blow up the way it blew up. I was watching it right at the peak when it was blowing up. When I was like, man.
Yeah. Moses, what about you? Would you pick up another one if you could catch it dubbed?
See, I think that the story would have to be proven to be top notch for me. Like, say, for example, with Squid Games, if someone was like, the first 3 episodes are dubbed, and I got into the story, and they were like, but the rest of them, you have to like read the subs, then yeah, I would have kept going. Like, I don't know if K-dramas have proved themselves enough for me to say, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to focus on that entirely. I'm going to spend that much of my focus currency on that entirely. If I started to see that like K-drama after K-drama after K-drama were really gripping that way, then yeah, I would just go ahead and ascribe to like reading subs. With this one was unique because like first off there was a bunch of hype around it, and then secondly there was enough there were the subs. So they would just have to prove themselves. Because I think that with Alice in Borderland, which Drake and I were talking about before, that one didn't have dubs. It was just subtitles. And I watched that entirely, but it's like I was able to get into it faster. So it's not that I'm not open to it. It's just more the genre would have to prove itself more to me.
Yella, what about you?
Would I watch it subbed? Possibly. I think that like Moses was saying, I'm not really big on the K-dramas in the first place. So it's gonna take a lot for me to get into it. And like Cedric, if I gotta read everything, I'm gonna probably end up going to sleep on it. So I would prefer to go ahead and just keep it dubbed.
Okay. Something else?
She is something else, actually. She's not with us.
So let me ask this a sub question. Is it because of your perception of K-dramas or K-dramatics, if you will, as kind of skewed towards women and, you know, romantic or teeny bopper or whatever? Because like a lot of these Asian dramas have, you know, various genres. So like speaking to what Drake was saying, there is a huge horror genre for Korean shows that when you first mentioned it and said Train to Busan, that was the first thing that came to my mind too, because it's incredibly popular. But there's a lot under that genre. So I mean, is it a case of you're busy or you're not really television people, or that you just haven't found like Asian television under that genre, or you just have so much American television you don't have time to like try and overcome a language barrier?
Because before anybody answers, I wanted to also add in, has anybody ever heard of Kingdom? That's a zombie show.
That's what I was gonna say. I didn't know that was Korean or not. Kingdom is so good. Kingdom is like top of the top good. Like as far it's like the Korean, I guess now I know it's Korean, like Walking Dead, but from way like, and what's it called? What what is the name of those times?
Like
Josei Hero.
Yeah, that man, I'm telling you, it is amazing. It's super scary. Like they do such a great job with the zombies in that film, in the show, and
it's a drama too.
Yeah, but now I ain't gonna say it get confusing though, because when they change, it's real confusing at times. You know, 'cause I'm like, wait, what happened to this person? Because you get caught up in those dubs. That's what I'm saying. Well, in the subs, you get caught up. You look away for a second. There's a lot going on. So, right. But that is really good. And I got to throw out, these are movies. Of course, The Train to Busan, The Host is really good. And Alive. Alive is on Netflix as well.
Alive was good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think for a lot of people, just going back to the whole sub thing, like that's going to be a hurdle that people have to get over. Because the modern television watcher is like captivated by at least two screens, the television screen in front of them and the screen in their hand. And then not to mention the stuff that's going on around them. So yeah.
And if I may add, it's something that is going outside of your norm, you know, your zone of comfortability, you know.
That's right.
You're trying something new, you know. Sometimes it's hard for people to try something new, and you're surprised what you may like. So I think hopefully now they can keep this thing going with Squid Games. You know, this is something new. Hey, maybe they want to tap in a little bit more.
Yeah, so for me, I'm really not much of a TV person. I kind of get my screen fix from playing video games. So that's kind of where my time and yes, there it is. That's where I end up going to. So I guess finding the time to sit down, watch something on TV, like be captured in it. Aside from, like you said, dealing with, all the outside actions that I have going on too. It's rough for me.
But I think that the thing that Squid Games had to offer such a large portion of, or such a large audience, was that it had social commentary that people world round could really relate to. And so it really struck a nerve internationally,
Well, since you've taken us there, let's get into the meat of this and talk about this show. Now, I'm going to full disclose, I have not finished. But I on purpose have not finished. I started it, got in, but I'm taking my time because this is not my genre. This is not what I watch on a regular basis. So, the story is interesting. I like the cinematography. I like how they did it. It was interesting seeing the games from, kids, even games, because that's the other thing when we talk about universal themes. Like, we all play games growing up. So, yeah, we remember red light, green light. Yeah, we've played, various versions of marbles and things like that. So, like, that part did capture me and want me to continue watching it. So I intend on continuing, but it wasn't something I was like, oh, I got to finish this. Like, it didn't take me like that. So, it is what it is. And so even if it's spoiled, because I already learned about 001 long ago before we even got to this part. And I was like, okay, folks is killing it because it's just out there all over the world. So in which case, how did you guys feel about the show? And I, take your time and each one of you just kind of give us what did you like about this show?
I liked it. I felt that after the familiar games that we knew, like American games that we know as children, or we knew as children, after those, after red light, green light, when they started getting into the Squid Game and they started getting into the other stuff, I think it was more so the storyline that kept me going. It wasn't so much the games. It was like, okay, I really want to see how this is going to play out between 456 and 001, and I really wanted to know what was going on with dude from SNU, like how it was going to play out, because I didn't. His character threw me for a loop early on. He was too quiet, and watching the storyline is what really pushing through it. And then once it got to the end, I was like, all right, yeah, we really got to finish it now, just because we made it this far. But
for me, they did a great job of getting you vested in the characters, kind of talking about their backstories, so that there was something that you would hope, there was a reason that you hoped that they would survive. And I think part of like creating a good story is it being heartbreaking at times. And so you knew that there were all these characters that you cared about, but you knew that like they were all but one was going to die. And so I think that they did a great job in that as well.
I was trying to be optimistic and hope that maybe one or two could, make it, or a group of them could make it out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I was really hoping. I'm like, okay, yeah, so like a team of them can win, and it just slowly or surely kept narrowing itself down.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of knew or felt that it wasn't going to be that way, because when it got down to, and of course, if folks didn't know, spoilers, like I'm not even feeling sorry for y'all. No, spoilers. Right.
Should have finished
but when his childhood best friend like did Ali dirty, I was like, yeah, you're gonna die. I was like, because I kept on thinking the two best friends might walk out together. But typically in these kinds of stories, when you make someone like excessively the bad guy, unless it is a different type of show, then somehow they're gonna get theirs. Like somehow they're gonna get theirs. So that's why I was like, you get what you get.
Yeah.
Drake, what were you getting ready to say?
Yeah, he deserved to die. But so once again, horror movie connoisseur. This is kind of like a Saw or a battle royale. If y'all know battle royale, or I don't know if that's a Korean film as well, but it's basically where a bunch of I ain't gonna spoil that. Well, I can tell y'all, it's a bunch of students that were got in a lot of trouble, like juveniles and things of that nature, and they go to like this boot camp or this detention center that's on this island, and like the teacher, like all the teachers and the counselors basically set up this game where these kids have to kill each other, and there's only one that can live. Yeah, wild stuff. Check it out, Battle Royale. So. I'm telling you, it's a good watch. It's a good watch. And that's where a lot of the video game concept come from. Battle Royale comes from that. But when I tell you, I thought everybody was going to die. I didn't think anybody was going to make it out. Because that's how this stuff go. Like, I knew maybe the operation may be blown up, but I knew it's going to be deaths, especially when everybody came back on their free will. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna feel bad now. You asked for it. You wanted this, you know? So the concept was awesome. I mean, it showed you how desperate people are and, you know, what people would do to you in real life and what they would sacrifice for themselves just for that almighty dollar, you know? It's just amazing. And but if you pay attention to the story and to the characters prior to them coming, majority of them try to take themselves out, you know. Numerous of them try to commit suicide, or they were set up to be killed, you know, because they owe so many people money. So they really had nothing to lose out in the free world. But they could have tried something different, but they all had addictive personalities and behaviors or something that would put them there. So how society looked at them less value, which came at the full circle as far as, you know, 001, when he was on his deathbed, showing how, like, people are bad. You know, there's no such thing as good people. And then, you know, even though I don't think he was able to see it, but there are some good people out here. You know, that's like the concept of my podcast, is trying to really see, you know, I absolutely know there are good people out there. Some people just may not know that, but I also absolutely know there's some bad people out there. It's a evil world with some good people in it, I always say. But this show here, it was like watching something dealing with all the deadly sins. You know, you had lust, you had a whole lot of greed, you had vanity, you had people that, you know, it so much backstabbing all through this thing. You know, it was a game, but that's, some people have to look at that like when you in the workforce. Sometime you can be friends with somebody, but if you're going for a promotion, like, will that friend stab you in the back?
Right.
You know, and it's sad, but it's life. I think Cedric said it several times. That's life.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how I kind of looked at it. You summed it up for me on the real, but I kind of looked at it as like it is a part of life. You know, we go out here and we try to survive, but, you know, and then it taught how groups can work together, you know, really with the part of the tug of war thing. You know, how they really came together with that. They were smaller in size, but they were stronger in mind. And the older man that talked to him, and he said, you know, what we got to do, we got to keep our heads on. We got to keep our minds together. You know, because if the head can be strong, the tail can even be stronger, because we need to put the strength at the end, you know what I mean? So that you can really pull. And it was a thing to me to where it was real life, but it was harsh at the same time. You know what I mean? It's one of the things, like, you know, you come into this world and things going on, and, you know, life brings about changes where everybody has a greed in them. You know, it does become, you need to work as a team. It showed me. But at the same time, you are really your own team. You and God. You know, it was very interesting because you seen both sides of it. You know what I mean? It was they went through what they went through, but just like you just got through saying, if you're not gonna survive for yourself, who's gonna survive for you? It was one of those kind of scenes to me, you know, where I gotta go and do what I gotta do. It's like you or me, and how he really hated to lose his friend, you know, who he thought was his friend, till he realized how his friend pushed the other guy off. And he's like, oh, no, you ain't right either. You know, you really a trip, you know, but at the same time, he still had love for his friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? I felt that it was a very sad part in there to me when he tricked the old man, 001. He tricked 001 with the marbles, telling him, oh, no. And 001 brought it back to him, let him know that, hey, you really didn't trick me. How did you? He gave him the marble, and then let him know that loyalty is what life is, too.
But 001 was the one playing the most games, though.
It was, man. That scene was so dope.
001 was good. But see, he came back, and he put that marble in his hand. He said to him, do you really mistreat your friends like this? Because you thought you tricked me because I was saying, well, what did I say? Because I told you about my head injury. And then I told him, what did I say? What was I saying? Oh, no, you said it was I, but it was Eve. So he was kind of like teaching him a lesson that, going through life is about being for real and honest with people.
The whole time 001 was teaching them a lesson. The whole thing.
The whole
time.
I think 001 really knew his heart the whole time. He knew who he did. He did
I think 001 was his daddy. That's how I feel.
It is a theory.
Now, there you go.
Wow. That's a theory.
There you go.
Yeah, so I think 001 was his father. And
because he took him under his wing immediately.
And remember,
right. But it's still a theory, you guys, because we got.
Remember, it is a theory. It is a theory, but remember, it was a part where he said he was allergic to chocolate milk or something of that nature, and then 001 came up behind him and was like, "Yeah, I used to beat my son." Because he used to say the same thing. Then that neighborhood, and they knew the same games. All these things were kind of unique. Then I'm a backdoor with this as well, that even with the tug of war, it goes back into real life. 001 actually had the wisdom because of his not only his age, and he the one that told him, hey, this is what you need to do. He knew that. Only thing you got to do to listen to your elders. One thing I talk about this quite a bit. He may not have the strength as he used to have, but he still got that wisdom, know how to win. And if we come together as a team, as a culture, as a community,
thank you,
we can win.
Look at him dropping gems. Go.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know what? I will say this. It is interesting that you said wisdom for him, because in some ways, when especially when I found out who he was at the end, I also think 001, I think he was looking to have faith in people again, because he had spent a long time manipulating other people and seeing the ugly side of life. And I that's why initially, I like the idea or the theory that, the male lead might be his son. But at the same time, I'm just wondering if what he saw in him was that this guy was open-hearted. Was he kind of low down? Was he broke down? Yes. Stealing from his own mama and all this stuff. But he, at his heart, was a good guy, and he was caring, and he cared about other people. And you could tell that, because guess what? When they were taking pictures, what did he do? He gave a big, wide smile. He wasn't even when he knew he was going into some jacked up situation, he still did a wide, happy smile. And so I think that was supposed to tell us that he was in some ways good and kind and innocent. And that's how he treated people pretty much the whole time. Even his friend who had basically left him for bigger and better, he was propping him up and giving him, his flowers and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I love this guy. He came from my neighborhood. He's made big things. And I think that that's why 001 liked him. I think 001 was looking for somebody who represented the best of humanity, even if they had stumbled and fallen and needed some help up.
And it's interesting because everything culture just left for a moment, but I found something that he said really interesting before about 001, in that with 001, the reason that I kind of suspected that he was the mastermind behind all of this initially was because everything culture mentioned the movie Saw, and I wasn't able to watch the entire movie Saw, but I did know the ending. And in the very beginning of the movie Saw, did anybody else watch that? Okay, yep. So in the very beginning of Saw, like you see that the main character is tied up in a room, and there's some dude who's like, on the floor with him. And then at the very end of the movie, you find out that the guy who is tied up on the floor and passed out is actually the person who's been in charge of the entire thing. And so in the beginning of the movie, when I saw 001 was like the first person that 456 came in contact with, I was like, here you have a bunch of people who are trapped in these kind of games, and you have this one dude who like shows up at the very beginning. And I was like, I feel like he is kind of like the parallel of Jigsaw in this whole thing. And sure enough, like that's how it came out.
And for me, what got it was when they let the people loose on each other, and it wasn't even a formal game, but it was a game, and
Right.
001 was up on top, off away from everybody else, and nobody could find him. I'm like, where this dude go? How he get to separate himself from all of them, old, frail, by himself? How he get, separated? Right. And it just gave me something's wrong with him. Something's up with him.
Well, and the thing is that it was only when he frailly said, I'm scared, I want things, that the guy who's in charge of the game was like, all right, cut it off. Because it seemed like he was taking his orders.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question real quick. I want to know what they like the least, because this is like a mutual appreciation society when it comes to Squid. Everyone pretty much likes Squid in general, but what y'all not like about Squid?
That annoying ass woman, the one that was with the dude with the snake on the face, and then she got kicked out the group. Like, she was just annoying to me. I didn't see a point for her being around other than just to be like an antagonist in the movie.
Well, there's always somebody like her. There is always somebody who is going to try to kiss up to whoever they think is in control and running it. There's always somebody like her. So I understand why they had her character, but she wasn't doing this smart.
Yeah. If there was, that's a good question.
All right. So can I tell you mine? Yeah. Mine was, because if anybody listens to us, they know I have an issue with suspension of disbelief. And so my suspension of disbelief was cut off when the officer followed them, got on the boat, attacked the man in the truck. The truck is moving, and nobody see any of this.
Yeah.
Like, come on, y'all.
Okay. Yeah.
And all the security they had. Yeah, that was kind of wild too. But what I didn't like about it was how they really made people just go against each other instead of just kept playing the game. They gave them something in their food to make them attack. Then they all went into that big fight area.
Well, you have to like weed them out at that point. I feel like that was the whole point of the weeding at that point, the strong from the weak.
Well, see, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Yella. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, I was saying that was like the weeding out the strong and the weak, And I got that part because you're just gonna games and it's more and more time consuming when you got these weak links all around. Want to get to it. They're bringing in the VIPs, like they want to get to the meat of the game. So I understood that part.
See, and that's actually part of the entire story that I really wanted to get to, because that's the reason that I think that this is such a good allegory for society, because what they did in that scenario was that they introduced artificial scarcity into the entire thing, because they admitted to it later on. They were like, we gave you like too little food for everyone because we wanted to force you to fight. And so if you look at society as a whole, is it a scenario where they are creating artificial scarcity? Because look at what Zillow did. Zillow, the real estate company, they purposefully like buy up like more real estate in different neighborhoods so that they can drive up the prices of homes so that they can make more money. So it's kind of an allegory for how the powers that be create artificial scarcity amongst human beings in order to get us like fighting amongst one another.
I'll say this with all due respect, but duh.
But here's the thing: is that that's not something like, take for example, if you ask people about like diamonds, most people don't realize that diamonds are plentiful. that you can create diamonds, that there are plenty of them out there. But what the De Beers company does is that they take as many as they possibly can, put them in vaults so that they can drive up the price. Like, there is a lot more of what
You don't
we
even have
think
to go to
is scarce.
diamonds. I work for a place that we distribute food to food banks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should be hungry in this world, especially in America. Seriously. Capitalism is the real enemy that we have here. Once again, I'm trying to think what I don't like about the film.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking perhaps a better soundtrack. I don't know. But it was something of that nature. But when I tell you, it's real. That's why I enjoyed it, because this is how life is. I'm playing a video game right now by the name of Civilization. And it's a game. Everything, like how things, like you said, the artificial scarcity. That's the truth. That's capitalism. Food is expensive. Like why is you have to go and you have to pay, excuse me, let's say $7 where I'm at for a package of chicken, okay? Honestly, that chicken could be $3, but it's $7. Minimum wage in Texas still $7.25, $7.50. Okay, all these things showing that people can't feed, and things are steady going up. But why? Okay, and you just said about the diamonds. Look, I remember. Have you looked up a car desert before?
No.
Yeah. Oh, not a car graveyard. I mean, thousands of cars in certain places in the United States, as well as in Germany and different places in Europe, where it's just vehicles in these huge parking lots, never before driven.
Wow.
Never before driven, never before touched.
Wow.
Are you serious?
I've been knowing this since for 10 years plus. It's like a car graveyard.
And why do they create the cars, and why do they have them sitting there?
So
people have jobs.
You know how much food is thrown away?
Yeah.
Like if you want to see how much food is thrown away, go and volunteer for your local food bank. And one of the hardest things for them to do is to actually get food to people. And if you think about it, the big game, well, if the food was a little bit more affordable, people would buy this food and use it for their family. But it's just so, and COVID showed this so much more now. So it kind of shows what we see here. It's enough money. Like, you see what we've gone through right now. Let's just print some more money. It's a belief. So when you talk about the artificial scarcity, it's all about a belief. It's all about power. It's all about control. Yeah. And just like how I enjoyed where they showed how white men showed up at the end, that was really the people who's paying for this. And what were their main thing was is to control, especially the one that was trying to rape officer.
Police officer.
Yeah, his main thing was control. I want you to do what I want you to do, when I want you to do it, and how I want you to do it too. Sadistic. Simple as that. And that's real. That's Hollywood. You see these type of things happen right in front of us day by day. People that want to. Why do you want this power? What do you want to do with it? No, what you want to do with this Holy Grail? You know, what you want to do with this influence you have?
Right.
You know. So that's how
different people.
Very true. Money is the root of all evil. Real big thing. You know, because it's all about the money.
The love of money.
The love of money. Right. I got control of you because I got this.
Well, see, I don't even think it's so much.
And I'm gonna run you and have you doing what I need you to do instead of you doing what you want to do. Because I got this piece of paper here that's gonna control you. And that's what they was controlled by. They was controlled by money. And then at the same time, they turned around and put them in. They had them in a debt situation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like we got you where we want you. We studied
that's how it is in real life.
Because they had their whole life, you know, right there in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is what you're doing. This you don't have a reason. Life. Give them a thought. It's just like a lot of folks say, you know, they don't have a reason to live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because what we did, we put you in such a the word situation. Is when you depressed. We put you in such a big depression area in your life to where, you know, you feel low, you feel lost. You done. You know what I mean? It's like nothing else can exist anymore. Because you don't have the financials to pull yourself out of this debt. So what we'll do, we'll play a game with you.
Right.
I mean, it's life, man. It's real life.
Something else, if you'll speak to the the state of Korean economics and how people live in that perpetual debt? Because you were telling me about that the other day.
Well, I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs. I just read an article, and maybe Sung Rae read it too, where they were talking about like the debt crisis in South Korea, because there are people who live in perpetual debt, the way that we live in perpetual credit. So I think it's the same thing is happening all over the world. We just didn't realize it, or we don't or it looks slightly different. So for us, it's like people are paycheck to paycheck, and they're like living on credit. For them, they go into full on debt, and then it's the same thing, and then they are continually trying to pay that down, and it gets worse and worse and worse. It's the same thing. So I mean, but yeah, I totally agree with Cedric. I think when you have when they put your survival on the line, they make it seem like, oh, okay, if you don't have that money, and therefore you all of a sudden, to the exclusion of your family, to the exclusion of anything else that should be important to you, all you can fixate on is that I don't have the money to get by. I can't seem to survive enough. And so then you risk your good life. Look at Ali. He risked his wife, his kid, the young child he had. He risked it all. And it was like, dude, okay, even if you had to go back to your country, you don't need to be in this situation. So his situation was, by and large, the most tragic of all of them. But I'll shut up now.
You made a point I was trying to get to, is once again real life, how people, the concept of money. Once again, money is just a belief in the paper, but you can have power, you can have strength, you can have intelligence, you can have charisma, you can have artistic value in numerous different ways, but everything can circumstance that with that dollar bill, that faith behind that, and that's your exchange in good or favors or talents. Okay, but look at real life, how people. I worked for pawn shops, I worked for rent a center, I worked for CPS, and when I tell you that when the relationship he had with his daughter, his ex-wife, the comment she made, you took him out. He took her to get a fast food dinner. Really, he could have just spent time with her, took her to the park or something, but he went to a fast food dinner. First thing the wife was like, you took her to get junk food. Her stepdaddy got her steak for dinner. You know, that concept is already being taught. Just like in real life. I got my nephews will come to me, you know, Uncle Drake, Uncle Brandon, whatever. You know, I got the new J's. I don't give a damn about them J's. What's your grades looking like? How you acting?
Thank you.
What's your behavior? Because these are because the Squid Games are happening every day. I'm telling y'all that right now.
Yes.
They're happening. People get depressed, and I hear, how can I help you? Give me money. That's how I can help you? Money? Like, and that's what the elder man, what I think he was showing, is like the money is the exchange of being a good person. But people, you have to be a good person just for money? No. But this is more of philosophy, more of a question about philosophy and the thought process of humankind. And that's why I think this is so deep and resonate. And that's the way how we, just like with comedy, we have to mask the education with some type of entertainment.
Right. Yeah, because I think that it's easier for people to be able to accept a lesson if they're being entertained or if they're laughing at a particular thing. It was interesting though, because I think that, like, even beyond the money, it was a matter of pride for most of the characters. Like, say for example, with the guy who was like the childhood best friend of the protagonist,
the
like,
one who sold his mama's whole world.
Right. Like, yes, he would have gone to like prison, but like it was more a matter of like his pride than anything else. With the protagonist, it was a scenario of, well, I'm really not gonna be able to like be a good father to my daughter. Like, I'm not gonna be able to measure up to her stepfather. Now, for the young lady who had the brother who was in an orphanage and whose mother was in North Korea, now that was a matter of survival. But for a good portion of these people, it's because they just didn't feel like they were measuring up in life.
And measuring up according to what others are saying, not necessarily according to your internal beliefs.
Right.
Bingo.
I mean, but that took it back to what 001 had said to 456 when they had randomly met outside in the rain at the little eatery. He was like, you know, I came back and I'm just reminded of all the harsh realities that I'm faced with. And
Right.
That's what it is, that was the draw to pull back into the game in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a lot of them had, I don't know if it was Drake or who said it exactly about they had like addictive personality in some kind of way, because you notice that 456, he was a gambler. Like all of them had their like trigger that made them go, okay, I have to be in this. And that's why I thought it was so ingenious that the way that they tested them to see if they could be given a card was to have the fine, the fabulous Gung Yu, like meet them in the street, like straight up doing some anti-Morpheus type stuff, like hey, do you want to play a game? Do you want, and then at the end he's like, do you want the blue pill or the green one? Like which card do you want? Like it was some crazy stuff, but I think it was because he needed to test to see if they'd be down for getting their butts kicked, to see if they would be down for losing their dignity. Because what went down with 456, right? He was like, okay, let's play, but you know what? If you look like you losing, but you want to stay in the game, let me just slap you around a bit. Now, come on now. A man walking up to another man, let me just slap you around for some money? And then 456 is like, yeah, I'm down for it.
Right.
Because he got him slapped. You know what I'm saying?
This is the question. This is the question. Would you all play the Squid Game if you could, if you weren't going to be killed, but you might get slapped around a little bit?
People play football every day.
Yep. I was going to say yes. Man, look, I was like, what's the difference between that and football? That's exactly what was in my mind.
Yeah, and you know what is really interesting is that, like, when the protagonist was getting slapped by the other guy, when he finally did win that that competition, like where they were throwing the things down on the ground, he wanted to slap the guy back. He didn't even care if he got the money initially. He was like, oh, it's my turn to slap you.
He had forgotten all about the money.
Right. So it was more about power and pride than anything else.
Yeah. He had to stop him and tell him, no, man, you get paid. You don't get to hit me.
Yeah, definitely. If we're not dying, I'm definitely going into the Squid Game.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was your favorite game?
Ooh.
Tug of War for me.
Yeah, it was so strategic. Well,
it was like tug of war for me because it made them like come together as a team, and it made them to show your strength mentally, than more than physical strength, and how you can beat your opponent by just let them pull. Then we're gonna run up on them and make them lose their grip, and then we're gonna snatch them across. So that was kind of my thing. I really looked at tug of war as life, because that's what life is sometimes. It's a tug of war game. How do I make it? I got to go to work. Oh, I don't feel like it, but I got to tug. I got to push on and keep moving, and make myself do what I need to do because I got to pay bills. That's a tug of war in life to me.
I think the marbles was mine, but not like the odds even marble game, the throw it in the hole marble game.
Okay.
Yeah, that was me. And I think that because, it made it about just real chance, real skill. There was nothing against the odds and evens, but it was traditional. It was what everyone was doing. We had to change it up to make it tailored to meet both of our skill levels. And I think that was good,
For me, it's difficult to say, but I'm going to have to go with red light. Whew. Nope. I'd like to say red light, green light, because that's when you really saw that number one was in charge of it because of that smile that he had on his face. But I'm actually going to say it was that cracker game, because there were so many different ways for people to win. Like there was the woman who used the lighter. There was the protagonist who started licking it. There were people who just won it off of skill. Like it really showed how resourcefulness could be used.
I'm gonna roll with red light, green light, because it was very simple. Follow the rules. Very simple. Follow the rules. And that's kind of my sadistic part. And my previous, things I've done in life, and even communicate with somebody. Hey, it's not that complicated. Shut your ass on. Excuse my language. and wait, if you paid attention, people thought you think it's a game. Brow. Okay, now are you listening now? Okay, man, how many people was wiped out? And look how many people that just don't pay attention or listen or view. And that's what I'm telling. That's how it's society. If people came together and really paid attention and listened and took things serious, but no, they playing. And that set the foundation of this show. And they said it numerous times. Follow the rules. Even going to the cookie game. We just, the rules are this, and this. Whatever you take to get there, you can do it. But just follow these bare rules. Simple as that. So that's why I enjoyed the red light, green light.
It's fascinating what you were saying about people coming together because, like, say, for example, the whole system of Squid Games is very much like our economic and our social structure, right? And they all had an opportunity to come together and to opt out of the entire thing. And they did, or at least half of them did. They left. But then it kind of shows how even if someone were like, hey, listen, we can like tear down this whole system. We can like eliminate debt for everybody. Some way or another, everyone's going to say, let's go back to that, because what was it, like a 93% retention rate of like the people who wanted to go back?
Yeah.
I think it was like 7 or 8 people at the most who didn't return. Everybody else came back.
Right. And so we are we're shackling ourselves for the most part because we're agreeing upon being in this scenario.
Absolutely. I'll talk about this in other concepts, white gays. But when people so want to be a part of something that they pass on their own well-being and where they come from to be accepted by something different. You feel me? And that's
Kanye West.
Yeah, that's it right there. I'm just looking as a clear example. I don't care. I just want to get this money so I can be accepted by people that really don't accept me most of the time, or it's what we call society. But when I tell you, it's such a good, straight example of this. And I'm glad y'all having this conversation right here, this episode right here, because I don't know if anybody's looking at it as deep as it can go. We see a lot of funny stuff and people doing paintballing and they're replaying it. But the concept of how if everybody stopped working or everybody stopped using credit cards, if everybody stopped participating in whatever particular system, how quickly that system would crash.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we have people, they want to benefit from that system as well.
And as long as like there's the hope that you can benefit from that system, most people will stay in it. Even
the
if
American dream.
Right.
And just to bum off of what Drake also talked about when he was talking about the rules and people adhering to the rules and being told these rules. It was just very interesting. Moses and I have had discussions about people who are rule breakers and don't follow the rules. And it was interesting that the friend who's the lawyer paid attention to the rules so that he could manipulate those rules, because he was the one who was bringing it to them like, oh, okay, one of the rules is if you do this, we can leave. Because people, they felt they were trapped. They felt like they had no way out. And so then they were like freaking out, right? And he was like, no, you still have a way out. You just need to pay attention to and manipulate the rules. And so that's the thing for us. We are raised, reared, indoctrinated in society, most societies. I think it's a function of humanity and not like any one country or anything, to adhere to rules, to follow the rules, because then you are controlled and things can be controllable. So it's not
cool
just us, it's everything. What'd you say?
It's cool to follow the rules.
Yeah, that's something that Moses and I used to say when we were younger. I don't know where we got that from. We say it sarcastically now, but it is this thing where maybe instead of patting yourself on the back for following the rules, you look at the rules to see how you can manipulate it. So you stop being a player and you start owning the board. But go on.
So with that, then let's talk about the themes, because you all have brought this theme of rules and the theme of how it affects our regular American life. How do you feel like any of these themes remind you of life as a Black man?
The struggle.
Elaborate.
Well, I don't know yet.
Okay,
Let me think about it a little bit more, because the struggle of life, and ask that question again. How does what?
How do you feel like, because we've talked about a lot of things, how do you feel like these themes relate to you as a Black man or as an American, but more specifically as a Black man?
Well, I'll say this. I think that moment when the head bully beat that guy to death, in their sleeping area. And you saw that the guards, i.e. the governing body, did nothing about it. And then when you saw that the person was actually that they were actually rewarded for it, because that took someone off the board and more money went into the piggy bank. It's like you started to see like the same thing that I think some Black Americans or minorities start to see. It's like, oh, wait a second, like the governing body or the government does help in some ways, but in some ways it's like, no, we'll step away. There's no clear defined rules in which to protect you all the time. And so it's like, if a person who is powerful enough wants to do something, they can get away with it and are rewarded for it. And so I think that's part of the reason that like minorities and specifically Black people are like, you know what, I'm not going to trust the government. On the one hand, like, yes, the government sent in the National Guard to escort, little kids into schools in order to integrate them, and made laws for equality, and Black people can sue the government. But on the other hand, sometimes the government will just completely drop the ball and just reward evildoers for being powerful.
I mean, so
at the same time, the government would kill the leaders of that community as well.
For real. Absolutely.
So I was going to say real quick, let's go back to where Cedric said the struggle, because
He's gone.
Man, he about to drop something too on us, man.
I know, right?
His face is ready, man. He pointing at us too.
I have a dream,
man. So until my brother Yella comes back, I'll throw mine out there. It's realistic. Going back to that false sense of you have a decision, you have a choice. And by being Black, you have to fight. You can learn this. You can learn the rules, know the rules, but unless you got somebody connected, it's going to be hard for you to actually succeed to be successful at times. It's a book that I read recently, The Spook by the Door, and it kind of brings up know the rules and know how to use these rules to benefit you and your people. But while you're doing that, it's really hard to do so, because you got to fight your own people sometimes, even though you're trying to help them. And it's going back to even the crab in the bucket syndrome. You have some guys that's there just to bring other people down. Look at the part about we showed that clearly when it came down to the glass floors. Man, people getting pushed all over the place. Doesn't matter. People show their true colors. Going to Sigmund Freud, you have your id, ego, super ego. A lot of people just using that id coming down there. It's to my survival, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do. But and it's really looked at as a whole point of one back of control and being Black. I'm seeing this right now, day by day. I can try to talk to my brothers and my sisters and my folks, let's come together. And it takes work. And sometimes they don't trust each other. You know, sometimes, you know, and I understand why we don't trust each other. And how do you change someone that's been hurt, been broken, has been literally beaten and been put against one another? And when it's time to come together and propaganda put us against one another. And I'm looking at this right here. You know, it's just you're locked in together, supposed to work together for it. And they tell you only one person can win too, which is absolutely not true.
Yeah. Hey, so I have somewhat of a controversial opinion or outlook on a particular thing. The childhood friend, I don't remember his name, when they were up on that bridge and the guy seemed like he was hesitating and he pushed him, I would have pushed him too. Here's my reasoning behind it. And it's exactly what the guy said.
Are you talking about during tug of war?
No. When they were on that glass bridge.
Okay.
At the end. It's because the guy was hesitating and he wasn't moving forward. He wasn't making a decision. They had like a minute left on the clock. And it's like, you don't want to come from that cold and calculating place. But if, like, say, for example, if I had people behind me that I cared about and that I wanted to live, that, like, me being compassionate to this guy and saying, oh, no, take as much time as you want to make this decision, that's not helping anybody out. Like, he had to push that guy so that at least those other two people behind him could be able to survive.
See, I'm not even thinking so much of the friend, you know, the quote unquote friend, the doctor. I'm thinking about the bully, the gangster, the thug.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about him because he did the same thing and he could use the same rhetoric or thought process. I had to do it, you know, to make sure it was taking too much time, even though it was like 5 minutes on the clock or something. But when it came down for him to take that first step,
right,
what'd he do?
He was being a bitch the whole time.
Right. All y'all, everybody, we all go die.
Yeah,
everybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think he was doing it out of like self-survival or self-preservation. And I could say the same thing about the childhood friend. But looking at the time constraints, just seeing like how if the guy had let it run down any longer just because he couldn't make a decision, like at that point, if it means me and the two other people behind me dying, just because this guy doesn't want to move forward, the guy needs to move forward. Same thing with me. So I see why he pushed him.
Can I tell you something that I find hilarious? I can say this is a part of it that I don't like. That didn't make sense. That this could be like what I don't like. When they had to choose the number. What if he chose 1? Just saying. What if he chose 1? What would have happened? You know, all the thought process that 001 had would be out the window. If old boy didn't run up and choose number 13, you know, to choose the number 1 instead, you know, this would have been a very different situation.
But 001 was completely prepared for like 456 to die. I think he wanted him to win, but he was completely prepared for him to die.
All right, Yellow, you're back with us. Go ahead, because you look like you had some hot fire and you was getting ready to spit.
My bad. The struggle. Oh, okay, yeah. So I was saying, the struggle thing kind of runs back into the rules because the struggle for us, and the first thing that came to Cedric's mind is the struggle is if we don't follow the rules, we're eliminated. And that is the struggle. You know what I'm saying? That is our struggle. That is a real life thing for us. And the shit that we face daily, you know, mainstream media, it's knowledge, it's seen. It is what it is. So having to, I guess, like, you've given us inadequate living conditions, inadequate, you know, funding for whatever we need or for ourselves. Yet you're still requiring us to follow these rules that you have put in place, which you know we're going to struggle doing that. And hence we're going to end up being eliminated. So it works in your plan on like Drake said, you know, the governing body sit back and they will do nothing and something all at the same time.
And then they would add stuff to you so that you can do wrong. That's the killing part of it.
They give you the chemical in your food to make you fight each other.
Right, to make you.
They will put the guns in the community. They will
Okay,
put
and the drugs.
substance
Not
in
at all
the
scared.
community, and
Yeah,
they're like,
and the liquor
"Oh,
stores on every corner.
how did
You
this
know,
get here?" You know, like where did it get? It makes sense.
Oh, don't worry. Just take this steak knife. You might need it.
Yeah,
right. You know, so it's a thing to make you fail, but at the same time, you can be successful if you choose to follow their rules all the way. And their rules, like you said, can end up harming you more than anything. Because you could be following the rules and be accidentally killed because you look like you wasn't following a rule.
Because what was the
Yeah,
point of the bridge blowing up at the end? Like an old girl getting impaled with the big old piece of glass. Like
right.
you
That,
didn't have to blow the bridge up. You know, you
right,
could have turned the lights back on. The game is ended. Send them back.
right. But we're gonna try to take you out any way we can. You know.
I think the point of blowing the bridge up was to make sure that like nobody was going to be standing on the bridge past the allotted amount of time. But like, yeah, it kind of sucked how she got
Then
that chartered glass.
yeah, drop the bridge. Like undo the hinge, bridge fall.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Their intent was to harm.
Their
Absolutely.
intent was definitely to harm. You know, so like I said, oh, you made it. You might have made it barely, and you still got fucked up in the process.
Right.
that was another part I didn't like too. That
Yeah.
was some hard stuff. Yeah,
Well, and like to think that all of this was to like how many people were in the Squid Games to begin with? Like 700, 1,000, something like that. To think
in this current one, it was 300. It was whatever the number of the guy we had.
456.
right,
Yeah, because he was the last person, 456. You're right.
Yep.
right. To think that it was all to serve the interest and the entertainment of like 5 people, if not, maybe there were more who were just watching on television. Those 5 were the ones who decided to come. But like how much of like the 300 million plus people in the United States, how much of our work and our effort is meant to actually just serve the interest of like maybe 1,000 people at the top of the pyramid, you know, the economic and social pyramid in the United States. Like, yeah,
But you look at it like this too, though. If y'all looked at that part, another conversation, I guess. But if you look at the point where even though you was dead, you was killed, we still gonna use you. We taking your organs.
yeah,
We gonna
Man,
sell them.
I
You
meant
see,
to bring
so
that up.
it's about them building themselves. You see what I'm
Any
saying?
way they
'Cause
can.
we'll take your organs and we'll sell them too, even though we done shot you up. Then they say, well, when y'all shot them with the semi-automatics, we couldn't use none of them organs. You know what I mean? So we got to figure out another way to do it. So they didn't do it that way no more. They just end up using a gun. Boom, we'll shoot you in your head. You know what I mean? They
right.
do headshots and stuff. You know, so it's like I say, I really looked at it as a reality show to me too, because it was like reality of like how life really goes. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, you talk about people dying and donating their organs. Well, if they ain't died quick enough to donate, we on the streets. We as black men, we have to worry about driving down the street and getting pulled over by somebody who said that they were going to protect us and going to make sure that we do right. But if we've taught as kids, put both hands on the steering wheel up so they can see. You know what I mean? Don't go to get your wallet out your pocket or nothing like that. You might get shot in the back of your head. You know, who knows what they're doing with our bodies once they get them there. You know what I mean? If we go all the way back, y'all remember the kid that was in high school, found rolled up in the mat, and come to find out all his organs was gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's like wow. You know, it's deeper than just killing them. You see what I'm saying? You know, it goes into a whole lot more. And we as black, we have some strong genes. You know, look at us. We don't wrinkle all up. We don't just get to that age and we get totally wrinkled out and all of that. We got some strong, black people have strong genes.
Right.
You know, the pigment in our skin is real tough.
I think it's also a matter of being able to take like the assets of the people that you abuse and then kind of toss to the side, you know, because whether or not it's taking a home from people who like when a neighborhood is gentrified and they can no longer like pay the property taxes, like their home is taken from them. Or like say for example, and this is one of the best examples, like how with the 2008 financial crisis, like all these people lost their homes, and so what happened? All of that wealth, all that land, all that real estate was reverted back to the banks and to the holdings of a small group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to take essentially the organs or the assets or the homes of all these people.
Mm-hmm. Put you in more depression.
Right.
Make you more depressed. You know, I can't survive. What can I do? Let's go play the game. Let's go to the Squid Game. You know, I can't survive anymore.
And but it's hard. I was taught certain lessons in life that sucks. I learned. I worked at a pawn shop when I was 18, 19. I worked at Rent-A-Center doing repo and sales at 20, 21. And both those jobs, and I worked somewhere else that was like some type of Cricket wireless internet service. And all those jobs, I had a white supervisor, black supervisor, and Latin, Hispanic supervisors, Mexican supervisors. And I had a different lesson on all three about you can't help everyone. It sucked. It was real hard. And once again, this is me being young, and they're like, "You're a really good guy, Drake. You know, you got a good heart. We seeing you." But they're like, "You can't help everybody." Mm-hmm. When I worked at the pawn shop, I had I can't tell you the full story, but a friend of the family come in. I tell people all the time, one of my weaknesses is seeing black women cry. That's like one of my kryptonite. Okay. And I saw her crying. She couldn't get her mama rings out of pawn, and I was like, I got to do something. I got to help out somehow, some way. And I had an idea. I was going to like extend her pawn. Instead of she paid at $25, $30, instead of 1 week, I would give her 2 weeks or maybe 3. It was something around that nature. Because she would come in every Friday and pay like $30 every week. But like, and think about these weeks that add up. But I said, I extended. I told her when she came in next time, make sure to check her out. I said, I'm extending for 3 weeks. You come back, they're going to save you a little bit out. You can get one of your rings out and let's go drop it down for your lower price. I'm in a position to help you out, sister, put you in a better position. And when I tell y'all this woman cussed me out, I'm talking about cuss me out, not curse, cuss me out, like loud. I mean, had everyone in the store look at me. My supervisor come out, white guy. I'm like, I've never been in trouble. And he was like, this young man trying to read my pockets, don't need to mind his woo business, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, we know each other. I know your situation because I work here. I seen your situation because you breaking down crying. But guess what? Would she be in Squid Games? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely she'll be in Squid Game. And be mad when she lose, when she about to get shot. And it's hard to see something like that because you see the system has got a hold of that person. She would come in, put stuff in pawn, and put stuff on layaway. You paying on 2 things that you have neither one in your possession.
Okay, now, so my thing is this. Okay, say it like this. Why they didn't just come together? It's 400 something of them, and it's probably 100 of guards. You know what I mean?
Because they wouldn't get the money.
You can't get the money if you knock out the people with the money.
And they got guns, and the people don't.
Yeah, it's like.
I mean, we could take their guns. That's you know.
But it's the money. It's the money.
There you go.
It's the dollar.
Yes.
And you could say the same thing about society. It's like, you know, there are more of us than there are police officers and army personnel, but they got the guns. And if we take them out, then society falls. That means your electricity isn't running. You're not going to have like clean water. The accoutrements that you've grown accustomed to, like all that's going to fall apart. And so I think that was part of their reasoning for not wanting to like just topple everything. Yeah. But here's my question though. Like, because I think we can all, it's very easy to point out the things that we see as the shortfalls of society through looking at it through the lens of like Squid Games. But then what does an actual healthy, well-functioning society look like? Like, wow. Like, is there always going to be a certain amount of like inequality built in where, there are people who are just suffering? Or is there a scenario where like everyone can have enough, where everyone is educated well? Like, is a utopia possible, and what does that look like? Because I think that we get so focused on saying this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong.
I agree.
I'm not a religious person, but like it does say in the Bible, why people perish for lack of vision, right? So what is the vision of an actual well-functioning society? Or is this it?
No, we know this ain't it.
This can't be
This
it.
ain't it.
Well, and to answer your question, I say no, because the example I gave, it's always it's been here since biblical times and before that. I don't think it's ever going to stop. Should it be better? Should it be a little bit more level? Yes, in my opinion, it shouldn't be. I don't believe in extreme, unridiculous wealth. I only believe in extreme, unridiculous poverty as well. We can have balance, but unfortunately, we got people that are greedy. We have people that don't prepare. We have people that don't put into the community, but want everything out of it possible. And we got people that just put in and is left out with nothing as well. So that ideology is hard, but paying attention to the history and the things I've seen in life, I don't think it's ever going to stop. But my thing is trying to make it better. I try to lead a way that, we can hopefully have some better people to grow up and do better and make people feel better. I can step outside my house right now and I can, by the time I make it to the grocery store, it's going to be at least 20 to 30 homeless people I'm going to come across.
Right.
And that's why I say, if you brought Squid Game to Seattle, that thing going to be packed. Okay. And, honestly, I don't know. That's you. I don't know they'll be packed because I don't think everybody want the money. I think some people being homeless is like freedom, or without a house. Let's say that, people without houses. I think they still have their. I've talked to a black woman that was homeless for 9 years. She said, I never went one day without taking a shower. I had everything I needed.
And I think that is real because there are people who are content in being outside of what our constructs of society or normalness are. They are okay and comfortable with, no, I don't go to work every day. No, I ain't getting no regular paycheck, but I eat every day. I do this and I'm good. Because they figure out how to work the system for them and they're comfortable.
Yeah. But we have been raised on not trusting one another, not trying to build with one another. You know what I mean?
True.
We were raised, as people to grow into that type of lifestyle. Like, hey, you got to get yours, I got to get mine. Remember them old sayings?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like real sad, because like he said, he tried to help a lady and she cussed him out. You know what I mean? I tried to help somebody that was homeless one time. Hey, man, I'll go get you something to eat. I ain't asked you for nothing to eat. I asked you for some money. I'm all like, what? So it's like, you know what? You keep your sign, brother. Keep your sign. We good. Because they become, it's like, I want what I want.
Right.
I don't want what you going to do to help me. How you know how to help me? But we need to come together and start training our youth to become more loving, compassion, and helping one another build together. Because like you see, we are the biggest consumers. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We support all these Chinese people. How many Chinese people you see in your neighborhood? You know what I mean? We all run to the Chinese shop. But they'll come over here and they get a spot, and 10 of them in the house don't get no oxy permit or nothing. And they okay. So are they really trying to help Americans?
Well, you know what?
Well, they're trying to help.
Well, this is what. Right.
Like,
and that's the thing. Why are we resenting them for doing the thing that we should be doing?
They
know how to sacrifice. They know how to, they have an eye on the prize.
The whole concept, before you go on, I'm going to jump in and I agree with you 110%. Something else, the concept of the village, we lost that and it was stripped from us, but we need to return to that because intergenerational households, having groups together, moving together is a whole function of building, but we are so busy with everybody wanting to individualize, we've lost that.
Right. And that's what they push. They push, individual success. So it's like, okay, let's put this person or that person, let's put Oprah on the pedestal and make it, I think Drake was the one, or one of you all talked about, maybe it was Yella talked about, putting up one and making them the ideal, or heralding and celebrating that one person, like only one at a time. And it's like, no, it didn't have to be that way. Not at all. And so it's like when you work together, like even the number of times I've had conversations with folks about, okay, why don't say Black men work together more? Black men work together fine in many instances, but like maybe not as much as I dreamed that y'all would work together. I mean, that would be wonderful. So I love having opportunities to see you all talking about things. I go looking for opportunities to see Black men talking to each other, to just get like that bird's eye view of you all communicating with each other. But definitely it is a thing in, like speaking to what Cedric said, I'm not going to feel some type of way because somebody has figured it out and we haven't. Like Moses always talks about, if you don't feel like America is your country, realize that America is still a place where you can make some money. And that's what lots of, not foreigners, lots of immigrants, let me use that word, lots of immigrants do. They come to this country with a goal in mind, focused on their families, focused on success, and they use America for that. While we look at America and say, why don't you love us? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we are citizens to the rooftops. Even during Jim Crow, we were still going into their military. We were still dying for in their wars. And so that's why I'm like, you can never take that away from us. But I'm not going to go after the Chinese or any other immigrant for doing the thing we should be doing. You get what I'm saying?
I totally agree with you on that to a certain degree on that. But I've seen this as people growing and getting together and building something together. We start to look at somebody else, what they have, more than staying focused on what we have and doing what we're supposed to do with what we have. We become focused on you. You ended up with a new car, or you ended up with some new shoes on, but I didn't get none. You know what I mean? And it's like he said, the crab's in the bucket. You know what I mean? You're going to sit there instead of continuously building with one another. We get selfish. We get like, oh, I got to get mine now. You know what I mean? I got to keep building for me. I got to build for my kids, my family. Instead of continuously taking a pot and putting it together and stirring it up and getting that real gumbo out of it. You know?
I think that, and this is, of all the controversial statements that I'll make, I think Black people don't really have a vision of what a healthy Black society would look like. And I think that there's the fear on the part of Black people, because they're like, okay, so if we weren't in the United States, then where's the other place that Black people can go in order to be in real community? Well, Africa. And then the pervasive image of Africa is that it is an ill-functioning like crap hole. So it's like Black people are like, yeah, like maybe being a part of American or white society or Western society isn't all that great, but we don't know what it's actually going to look like if we're just trying to run things on our own. So I'll choose the devil that I do know versus the devil that I do know. Oh, wait a second. I'll choose the devil that I do know versus the devil that I don't know.
Yeah,
because we can talk about the concept of like building, and yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I'd be fine living in a society of like 100% Black people, as long as I know that like it's going to function well. And I think that one of the things that really stops Black societies from functioning well, and it's not because Black people aren't capable. I think that there's so much infighting between Black people, and it's not just the United States; it's in Africa as well. I mean, in Nigeria, I see you, Drake. Give me 1 second.
You got it.
in Nigeria, you have the Yoruba, you have the Hausa, you have the Igbo, and you have the other like other tribal groups, and these people do not like one another. And so, of course, infrastructure isn't going to come together. So it's like, yes, I think there's so much worldwide brainwashing of Black people, not only to want to be European, but also to believe we're just not capable of building a well-functioning society. And so I think that's the reason we don't come together, because we're like, come together for what?
Yes. Thank you, Moses. That was beautiful. Seriously. And this conversation I have almost on a daily basis. Last night we went out to eat with a couple. We're talking about why don't Black people move back to Africa. I've had episodes talk about June. I celebrate Juneteenth before it became popular. I've been celebrating Juneteenth since I was a baby, since I was a child. That's the holiday that I celebrate. And, you know, and there's a reason behind it. People don't even talk about the Juneteenth massacre and things of that nature. You know, people, you can't even Google it and find it. That's how crazy it is. But when it comes down to unity, one thing we have to understand, when I am my grandparents, I know for a fact my great my maternal paternal grandfather was a slave. His wife, his son wife was a Native American. My roots are tied into America, this soil right here. My people work with this. But at the same time, I want to know my roots in Africa as well. But either way, my culture is here. Everything culture is for a reason. We can have our different cultures and our different backgrounds, different tribes and our different beliefs, but we need to respect one another about it. And that's the point. Then when it comes down to us, we have all these different, we've been separated so much because that was the point as well, even with slavery. When you start seeing them come together, separate them. Put one at the top for them to fight with one another. And, you know, it's so ingrained and it's easy now. Once you get them fight with one another, we ain't got to do much. But once they come together, that's the problem.
Right.
You know, we get like the conversation right here is probably tapped in somewhere, to be honest, because it's no, like it's I'm serious. It's no coincidence how these things happen. But when we come in, once again, and everybody said we need a leader. We need a leader. No, we don't. We all should be leaders. We all should step up in our own roles in our way and provide that. And that's the big, and that, because it's easy to take out the leader. But when everybody have a leader, it's like, do you want, you know, quote unquote, do you want to have a strong leader and weak followers? Or do you want a weak leader with strong followers? That doesn't even make sense, you know, because when you have those strong followers, they are leaders within themselves, and everybody don't have to play the same position. If you look at this as like football or basketball or any other sport, hell, you know, everybody can't run the ball. Everybody can't play the line. Everybody can't tackle. But do what you do the best way you can do. And we got to rely and respect and trust one another. But that trust is so hard because with propaganda and things been said, or you've had a bad experience with one another. I talk about on Clubhouse. Oh, my goodness. I'm Black before I'm anything else. I'm Black before I'm a man. I'm Black before I'm married. I'm Black before I'm a Texan. I'm a Black before I'm anything else. I'm just telling you. And when I don't argue with Black men on these issues because we're here together no matter what. That's the first thing they're going to see, that I'm Black. No matter what you want to identify as, that's what they're going to see, that you're Black. So when we talking about how can we can absolutely do it. I've had argument with guys talking about, wow, Black people got to move. We just got to move in together and just support nothing but Black. I support Black all the time, but I can live wherever I want to live. I can lay my head wherever I want to lay. I grew up in the north side of a very racist town, majority in the Black neighborhood. It was several different Black neighborhoods, but my neighborhood was like, you can consider what people say successful. But one thing I saw, it was love and it was beautiful. We communicated, we leaned on one another. I was staying on the dead end. Everybody was like lower middle class or so, or middle class to say it. But when I say every single one of my neighbors knew who I was, knew who my aunt was, knew like we could mow each other's yard. If something happened, they'll call down, hey, what's going on down there? So when I think it was maybe something else, or Son Ray may have said, like, you know, the community's dead. I've had that conversation numerous times. I'm part of that community. It's not dead yet. That village is not dead yet. It's scary. I worry about it. I really do worry about it. Like, I know I'm every black person where I stay, it's only 3 to 4 black families in my area, and I know every single one of them. I'll make sure to walk and introduce myself. Because if something happened, you can rely on me. What if I see them babies walking? I got a lot of white families that adopted black kids, and I make sure when them kids are walking to school or something like that. Back in the day, we used to be able to get. But things have changed so much in the culture now. My neighbors used to be able to pick me up or take me a ride to school, make sure to bring food and all that. This brisket I'm cooking is for my neighbors. Now I don't know it, but people don't do that no more for numerous reasons.
But you know what? I think that, and I agree with you on so many points. I think that what we are experiencing in the United States is a function of something that was going to just be inevitable. And that inevitability was the increase in technology and globalization. And so with all these different types of people moving into the same country, there's going to be friction. And people will talk about how well things ran in the United States in the 1950s and 60s and things like that. And I think that part of the reason that things ran well is because you had a group of people. I say this so much that I think it actually gets on people's nerves, is that I just think that the difference between like European ideology and African ideology is the level of social cohesion there is. I think that Europeans have they work better together than people of African descent. Europeans were able to go into Africa and divide people based upon like their tribal groups, and they were able to conquer that way. And so I think in the United States, you had essentially a group of people who were running things, who had a large sense of social cohesion. You didn't have like as many minorities. And I think that the tensions that we're feeling today is just because the United States is a much more diverse place. And I think that...
Oh, boy, y'all. Okay, wait a minute. Drake, you're going to have the last on this because y'all took it. Talk about Squid Game. My goodness. And then y'all are dropping gems left and right. You're killing me.
I'm sorry to take it to that place.
No. Drake gets the last word on this, and then we're going to do final thoughts. But I want to hear what Drake has to say in response.
This is what we do with everything culture. That's the purpose of my podcast for these type of conversations. And because we got to get to know each other so we can love one another. But that ideology thought process you express where, you know, they have that more of a social cohesion. Me personally, I think that is I don't want to call it bullshit, but I would say because the way I think they're good liars, they're good deceivers. That's what I would say, because I know in other communities they had social cohesion. Here on this land, the indigenous people, these different tribes, they spoke languages within one another. They trusted people. They trusted them. They gave them love. They opened their doors, and they were stabbed in their back. And they were given diseases. They wouldn't. That's what I find out to be most powerful. You know, that's what I say they're good at. Not they're good at coming together to lie and trick other people. I gotta look at it for call it, but they take pride in it. They take pride in not all of them, but the ones that, you know, that how do you represent your culture from your past? Man, it's robbing, raping, killing, pillaging. You know, and
I'll say this, and I'm not going to keep talking for too much, but I think that with Native Americans, they were fractured. They were fractured into like different tribal groups, and I think that Europeans who came over were able to play off of the tribal groups that existed. And I think the Europeans, even though you had the French, the English, and I think maybe the Spanish who came over, like there was still a greater amount of like people working together amongst European backgrounds than there were of the tribal groups of the Native Americans.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't even know how we got here from Squid Game. I mean, I don't know if we need to have a Squid Game 3 because y'all took it to the next level. My goodness. And it makes me happy that y'all are on our podcast with these gems and these opinions. So hey,
thank you for buffering this.
Right. No, you know what? We just appreciate you guys, but we want to give you a chance at a final thought regarding Squid Game, or a take home from that. And then we're going to close up shop because we know that Drake always has another podcast episode to put on. And Moses, you're always working and having your side projects and things you need to focus on. And I can also see that Yella, like, he needs to rest his eyes, and he may be gone right now. But we're thankful for him having joined us because goodness knows he normally is back in the cut. But any final thoughts, you guys? Let's start with Cedric.
Well, my final thought is because you called me off guard there, Well, the final thought is that hey, let's continue to do this thing and keep it alive. You know what I mean? And continue to voice positive and good energy. And I don't know what to say. I mean, just stay positive, y'all.
Yeah. You think you're gonna watch any more Korean dramas that the Song Ray is suggesting?
Yes. Yeah, I am. I kind of like it. I like the way they dress. I'll be checking out they attire there, They're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did like those tracksuits. It's a show you like when you start suddenly like an ugly tracksuit. But how about you, Drake? Any final thoughts?
Once again, great show. I think it was great for social commentary like we have here. Yeah, I'm hearing it's going to be a part 2. And what I'm thinking is going to be one of two things. One, they may start it in different countries or bring different people from different countries into it. Or it's going to become something like the Hunger Games, where
I align this to, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be some controversy because it's going to be to the point it's going to be very fishy. It's also a movie called Gamer that's kind of like that as well. How society opens up to see other people be murdered, but they're asking to do it. So, people step back from it, or the people they're like on death row. So that's why I think it may become more of a social concept. And what the scary thing about it, hey, does art imitate life or does life imitate art?
Okay. And Mo, you get the final word since Yella had to go.
Yeah. I would say that I really enjoyed the show. I like any piece of art that shows how human beings are can be trapped by societal structures, and that make people think about, okay, so if this is the way in which we're becoming trapped, then how can we most be free? Because I think that this extends not only to Korean culture, but as we said, American culture. It can be seen in Latin American, European, whatever culture. And I think it could be, it's applicable to any human beings.
And that's, I think, what I appreciate most about Squid Game, that it brought so many people together. I mean, is it a little bit the self-promotion that this is a show that is Korean and we deal in Korean dramas? Yes, but most of it is that I really appreciate that it was the themes and ideas were so wide that we could find people who don't even watch television a lot and they're willing to watch this show. So I know this is something else, and I want to thank each and every one of you for.
Hey, Yella's back in case you wanted to get a final thought from him.
Yeah.
Oh, Yella, yeah, you're back. Okay, so we want to get a final thought from you before we close up this episode. Any final thoughts about Squid Game?
I mean, I liked it. I'm looking forward to season 2. I want to know what happens with the cop, and him and his brother in that situation. Redhead is going back in. Well, I know why he's going back, but I want to see what the outcome is going to be from that as well. So, yeah, I look forward the dubbed version of season 2 of Squid Game.
No, it's real. And you know what? I was gonna close it up, but I will say this also before I turn it over to Sung Ray, that after mid through season 2, we want to call y'all back because y'all like extrapolated ideas and all this stuff beyond what we were originally thinking about. I mean, you definitely brought a different point of view. But I'm gonna turn it over to Sung. Yes, I'm turning it over to Sung Ray.
And we just wanted to take the time to say, Moses, Cedric, Drake, Yella, we appreciated you all tremendously. This conversation was awesome. It took on its own legs and walked, and we just thank you all for your time. Thank you for your thoughts, and we will definitely be sending you all an invite again. We appreciate you all.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank y'all.
We are Black Girl Soul at www.blackgirlsoul.com. Thank you.
Later.
Thank you so much for listening to Black Girl Soul. We enjoyed having you, and please subscribe, like, and follow our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter page, Instagram page, and join our Facebook group. You can also find us on Patreon. Please look below for links. See you guys next week.